Hello and welcome to the RestoreCast. My name is Shan Stratton, and I'm honored to be the host of the RestoreCast, sponsored by Restore Health Plus, an enzyme-based nutrition company. And as you know, the RestoreCast is really all about bringing an opportunity and giving an opportunity for people to come find a place to find those answers or directions as to how to restore our health physically. Maybe it's financially, maybe it's emotionally, maybe it's mentally, maybe it's just fundamentally. But the Restore Cast is a podcast that we try and bring some of the industry experts here for people to learn from and listen to. And today we have one of the top experts in what I believe to be the world. We have one of the top cancer doctors, someone that I've grown to know very well, someone that really understands and has been in this industry for many, many years and really is sought from places all around the world, does all kinds of interviews, and he really talks about how do we address that big C word preventatively as well as after someone unfortunately may have cancer. This is an individual that definitely has the credentials, definitely has become a good friend of mine, is one of the greatest people you get to know. And today you're going to get to hear some of the greatest information that you've ever heard in regards to one of the toughest topics that there is to address, and that is cancer. So I want to bring on and introduce to everybody a good friend of mine, Dr. Patrick Vickers, owner and founder of the Advanced Gerson Therapy Clinic in Tijuana. Welcome to the show, Dr. Vickers. It's such an honor to have you here. I know you and I have had a lot of fun and spoke at a lot of places and done tours, and we'll get into all of that. But today is really about giving you a platform and allowing our listeners to learn some of the things. How do we naturally address that big C word that's very seldom heard? So welcome to the show.
Thanks, Shan. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Great. And you're coming across well.
Good.
So before we get into all the details of your clinic and all that you're doing down there, give us a little bit of background, Doc. How did you really ever even start down this pathway?
Yeah, I wanted to be a chiropractor ever since I was 11 years old. A friend of our family's was a chiropractor, and they were staying at our home for the weekend when their 5-year-old boy, who was sleeping in my room with me one night, woke up in the middle of the night with a cough that wouldn't stop. And he coughed for like 20 minutes straight. And finally, his father heard him. It's 3 a.m. His father finally hears him, comes upstairs, lies him on the end of the bed, and adjusts his neck both ways. And he stopped coughing immediately. And he didn't cough the rest of the night. And when I saw that, I said, that's what I'm going to do for a living. And so here I am a year away from graduating chiropractic school at the age of 26, 27, 28, something like that. And something I've always wanted to do since I was 11. And a woman by the name of Charlotte Gerson was invited to come speak at my school. She was the last living daughter of Dr. Max Gerson, who Nobel Peace Prize winner Albert Schweitzer called the greatest genius in medical history. And so when Charlotte Gerson opened her mouth and started talking about her father and how he was reversing virtually every single degenerative disease, most notably cancer, and that he was the most censored doctor in the history of medicine, I said, that's what I'm going to do for a living. And so I graduated from chiropractic school, but I had such a dying passion for the Gerson therapy that Charlotte Gerson actually invited me to come live at her home in San Diego, where she had all her father's handwritten files of all his patients between 1905 and 1959 when he died. And so I'm one of a handful of people who've ever gone through Dr. Gerson's handwritten files. And about 13 years ago, 12 years ago, I opened up a clinic in Mexico, where that clinic was carrying out Dr. Gerson's work and his legacy, where we continue to reverse advanced terminal diseases and even your, benign diseases. It doesn't matter if it's diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, but, most notably what Gerson was renowned for is being able to reverse advanced terminal cancer. That's why 8 movies have chronicled our work. There's no other therapy that can remotely boast but one. And Gerson has now 8 movies that have chronicled his work. He died in 1959. He was way ahead of his time then. He remains, posthumously, the most eminent genius in medical history.
Wow. So you've been in the industry a long time. There's
25
no
years.
doubt, 25 years.
Yeah.
There's no doubt you have seen the good and the bad, and there certainly is a lot of bad, and there's never anything per se good that comes from cancer. But the fact that you have really jumped into an industry that has some real dangers in it as far as mainstream, what you're allowed or not allowed to do, especially here in the United States, that is so focused on Western medicine.
That's right. That's why I'm in Mexico.
That's
right?
what I was going to say. So share with the viewers and the listeners, what are some of the things that you really had challenges with, or that maybe you didn't even realize that has caused you to say, man, I'm going to have to go down to Mexico?
Yeah. Well, look, the only recognized form of treatment for cancer legally in the United States is chemotherapy, radiation, and surgery. Anything outside of that would be considered illegal. If I sat in the United States and opened up a clinic and was claiming to treat and reverse advanced cancer, I would be shut down and I would go to jail more than likely. And so the reason why clinics today are in Mexico are to bypass those laws that have been laid out, under the pressure of the pharmaceutical and medical industry. The pharmaceutical industry and the medical industry, they control our politicians. They're the ones paying for the campaigns of these politicians. So they've gotten these politicians to pass laws making what we do illegal. And so that is the reason why you have to come to Mexico if you want to receive the Gerson therapy treatment, for cancer, because that is the reality in the United States. And let me just give you, an example of this. If one of my children get cancer and they're under 18 years old, right? If I say to the oncologist, thank you for taking the time to diagnose him, and I really appreciate it, but I'm not going to do chemotherapy and radiation on my son. I want to do the Gerson therapy. Literally within 30 minutes, social services is in that oncologist's office, and my child would be taken away from me and I could go to jail. That is the reality. And so, when you talk about the land of the free, there couldn't be anything further from the truth, because that is the laws today in the United States.
Well, we certainly know that, there are challenges. And so number one, I respect and appreciate the efforts that you put forward, the challenges that you have addressed, and really some of those things that you've overcome. Your clinic down in Tijuana is unbelievable. I know people personally that have, had the fortune of coming down and being treated by you. And without question, here in the United States, Western medicine owns and rules most of everything that goes on in medicine, along with the politicians and so on. But that's not what I want to focus on today, nor do you. I know it's more about how do we address and help those people that are saying, I don't care about the politics, I don't care about Western medicine, holistic, anything else. I just want to get healthier.
Right.
Share with us some of the principles that you, as a if I can say this, organic doctor, organic cancer specialist, whatever you want to call it, what are some of the things that you and your clinic really focus on and have seen unbelievable success? I've heard the success stories. I know people with the success stories that have come from your protocols, which ultimately comes from Max Gerson. But share with us some of the details of what you do and the importance of some of those, fruits or vegetables or enzymes, probiotics, all the different things that you and I talk about.
Yeah. So, if you read Dr. Gerson's classic book that he published before he died, it was called A Cancer Therapy, Results of 50 Cases. If you read that book, there's one word that sticks out and he mentions over and over and over again. And that one word is metabolism. That is the secret to health. That is the secret to disease. That's the secret to reversing disease. over and over again, he mentioned the word metabolism. So everything we do at our clinic revolves around the restoration of proper metabolism, because these modern diseases today are metabolic disturbances. They're a breakdown of metabolism. So you have to be able to define metabolism in order to address it. So let's define metabolism. What is, sorry, that's my 1-year-old child out in the background there, you might hear. So I've barricaded the door into my office, and so she's banging on the door. Anyway, so you have to be able to define metabolism. So what is metabolism? It is the breakdown of food into energy. It is that simple. That is biochemistry 101. I learned these principles in the first 2 weeks of chiropractic school in biochemistry 101. Metabolism is the breakdown of food into energy. So if you're going to restore health and restore the human body from disease, you have to restore and correct metabolism. So where does metabolism begin? It begins in the gut. Is it any wonder that in natural medicine, we're taught that 70% of your immune system is where? It's in the gut. And so we start by healing the gut first and foremost. And there's 2 other aspects of metabolism that need to be addressed after that. But how do you heal the gut? There's only one way to heal the gut: food. You can only heal the gut through food and proper supplementation with enzymes, with probiotics, right? We know that the gut has natural flora. We've destroyed that with all the processed foods, all the drugs we've taken, certainly antibiotics, all the chemicals in our environment today. So the only way you can restore the gut is through food. So on the Gerson therapy, our patients are getting 20 pounds of organic fruits and vegetables every single day. And if it's not organic, our patients do not survive. It's that simple. And so 20 pounds. Now, people say there's no way anybody could possibly eat that much. That's right. They don't. Most of it's in the form of juices. Now, they do get 3 meals every day, but they get 20 pounds of juices, of organic fruits and vegetables in the form of juices. Now, on top of that, because someone who's coming into your clinic, their gut is sick. And so they're not going to properly be able to break down food. So you have to facilitate that. And so how do we facilitate that while we're healing the gut? We support the gut with enzymes, right? So that helps to facilitate the breakdown of food as we're trying to restore the body's natural ability to do that. And what else do? We have to restore the natural flora within the gut. And how do we do that? We do that with probiotics, your probiotics, in fact. We need the highest quality products that we feel are necessary in order to restore that metabolism. And so we chose your probiotic as the probiotic that we're going to use. I also use raw spirulina. Now, some people say, well, that's an algae. Well, it's not an algae. It's actually a cyanobacteria. And it has the capacity to restore proper flora and destroy pathogenic flora, in the gut. And so your probiotic with our raw spirulina, and that's not dried powdered spirulina that people are accustomed. This is raw, living spirulina that's alive. If you put it under the microscope, it's actually swimming. So this is how we restore the gut. And that's how you begin to restore the human body. So that's the main principles. Now, again, metabolism is the breakdown of food into energy. Once you've broken down the food, you now have to be able to convert it into energy. What does that require? Well, that requires oxygen. And so we have to be able to oxygenate the body. And the primary ability of the body to oxygenate cells is an alkaline diet. In 1931, Otto Warburg won the Nobel Prize in Medicine for proving cancer, viruses, and bacteria can't survive in a body that's properly oxygenated. So he discovered that the main principles of being able to oxygenate the body are restoring the alkaline diet. It's an acidic diet that destroys the body's ability to oxygenate tissues. And so the Gerson therapy with the 20 pounds of organic fruits and vegetables is highly, highly alkaline, which is restoring the body's ability to get oxygen into the cells. And then once we've done that, once we've created that ability again to oxygenate cells, We do a lot of oxygen therapies at the clinic: hyperbaric oxygen, ozone, hydrogen peroxide therapy. These are all the various ways you can oxygenate tissues to help the body convert food into energy. It's that simple. Truly is that simple.
Well, I love hearing that. You explained that, and I remember back when you and I spoke for the very first time. I was actually doing some work with Major League Baseball. I remember my assistant had set up a conversation for you and I to be on the phone, and I remember us getting on the phone, and within like 5 or 10 minutes, you and I had both said some of the exact identical phrases.
Hmm.
Nutrient utilization is more important than just nutrient consumption.
That's right.
Metabolism. How do we address We get people all the time that say, "Oh, my metabolism's messed up." And so the first thing they want to do is go to these big fad things on metabolism, when in reality, you want to increase your metabolism, you increase the breakdown and utilization of food, which requires enzymes, probiotics. So you and I very quickly realized enzymes, probiotics are really the basis of every single thing we do, because I don't care if you're using Western medicine, organic medicine, foods, nutrients, protein, carbohydrates, fats. I don't care what you're using. Without enzymes and probiotics, without restoring your gut, you are not going to see the success that you want to
No.
see in regards to whether even if you're just trying to do it preventatively or
Yeah.
if you're doing it for a specific reason. Enzymes and probiotics. So number one, I appreciate the fact that you and I felt that about each other from the moment we started
Yep.
even working together. And I've always appreciated the fact that you've always used my enzymes and probiotics and those products in your clinic. So
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about remember very quickly after we had got to know each other and we realized, holy smoke, we're teaching the exact same things here. You've just taken it a step further when you focused on the big C word, cancer, and
Mm,
using products to address that.
mm.
I still to this day continue to work more so just holistically, internally, restoring your health through enzymes, probiotics, whole food vitamins, chelated minerals, that kind of thing. But we very quickly said, we got to do something together. So we had both of our teams work together and we set up this tour in
Mhm.
Wisconsin that was
Yeah.
one of the most memorable tours I've ever gone on with somebody. And we grinded out some events in Wisconsin. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, that was Eau Claire, right? And
Yeah.
Marshfield, Wisconsin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I invited you to come out, and I spent, I don't know, I spent a good 12 to 14 weeks promoting those
Yeah.
things, going door to door with chiropractors and stuff, and just promoting it through, grassroots, door to door, knocking on doors, and we had really good turnouts at those events. No, I mean, and then we did a few more. And then you did your events, and then you invited me to come speak at
In
your
Ohio.
events.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Ohio, right, with Liz and Chris, right,
Yeah.
and yeah, no, those were, that was 10. We're going on 10, 15. I think said almost 15 years ago.
Yeah.
It's almost hard to believe. I opened my clinic 12, 13 years ago, and holy smokes, has time flown, no?
Yeah, it really has. I remember when we do those events, sometimes people will say, "Well, you say you do an event. What do you mean an event?" These were events that, as you said, we marketed, we promoted, we had sponsors, we had all kinds of
Yeah.
people wanting to be involved with
Mm,
one of what I still believe the greatest cancer doctors, if I can say that, in the world.
yeah.
And then
History.
to couple me in with that, with someone that has worked and is working at the time with almost every single team in Major League Baseball, has worked with some of the greatest nutritionists, dietitians, team trainers, strength coaches, and so on. We had people coming to these events and all they wanted was to learn, how do I restore my health?
Right.
How do I get rid of this body fat? How do I bring my blood pressure down? How do I, increase my energy? How do I get rid of my ulcerations? How do I get rid of acid reflux, heartburn, indigestion? And we would I mean, you would go sometimes for an hour, 2 hours,
Mm.
3 hours, and then I would come up and go for an hour or two. These were all-day events, and in the end, I think
Nope.
each one of us would have spoke 4, 5, 6 hours per
Yeah.
event.
And
And
nobody walked out.
yeah, yeah. And we had standing room only at some of those places,
Mm.
and it was truly amazing. So
Yeah. That was fun.
that it was.
And life has changed, and it certainly has gotten more stressful. And
It,
so,
it has gotten
yeah.
more stressful. But I think part of the reason it's gotten more stressful is because every day that goes by, Doc, and I know you're like me, that every day that goes by, I see it more clearly than ever before that we can address almost every illness, sickness, disease that humans experience, whether
Yeah.
it be diabetes or cancer, and I'm not saying that we have the cure to everything, but it's simple if you go back to the laws of nature.
That's right.
The simple laws that God put in place in nature has been taken out due to cooking and processing and Western medicine approaches and all of these different things. But if we'll go back to, you mentioned earlier a word, oxygenation, and you talked about acidity versus alkalinity.
Mm-hmm.
Another area that I have really focused in on,
Mm.
and we use an alkalizing form of alkaline water. The
Right.
Kangen water is something
Right.
that really addresses a lot of those things and
Yep.
oxygenates. So let's talk just a minute about your protocols and what, how you use oxygenation and pH, or alkalinity versus acidity. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, that's great, because again, that's the crux of the matter. And that leads to the second phase of restoring metabolism, right? We've restored the gut, and now we have to restore the body's ability to oxygenate tissues. And how many times have you heard an alkaline diet promotes health, an acidic diet promotes disease? But you hear that constantly, but it's never really explained what are the health implications of those two terms. Well, when we're talking about alkalinity and acidity, what are we talking about? We're talking about pH. Okay, great. Well, what's pH? Well, pH is potential hydrogen. That is it. It's potential hydrogen. And so when you're acidic, you have a buildup of hydrogen in the body, particularly at the level of the cell membrane. And we can go into that in a second. But when you have a buildup of hydrogen in the body, particularly at the level of the cell membrane, as oxygen goes to approach that cell, it literally cannot be accepted into the cell because the charge of the hydrogen repels it away. It literally rejects it. And so the true definition of acidity, the buildup of hydrogen in the body, is improper utilization of oxygen. So you have to neutralize and restore get rid of the hydrogen within the body. How do you do that? Well, you mentioned Kangen water. Kangen water produces hydroxyl ions, OH negative ions. How do those work in the body? Now, what's the difference between Kangen water and juicing 20 pounds of fruits and vegetables every day? Well, the only difference is Kangen water doesn't contain all the nutrients and the enzymes that are in the juices, but it does contain the hydroxyl ions. Well, when you drink a juice, it gets broken down into potassium hydroxide in your body, a hydroxyl ion. Now, again, a hydroxyl ion is written OH negative. Well, what are we trying to neutralize? We're trying to neutralize the volatile, destructive H positively charged hydrogen ion. And the OH negative ion that we're pouring into the body with either Kangen water or better juicing, right? When those two molecules meet, OH negative, H positive, they react. Well, what does that reaction cause? OH negative, H positive, two H's and an O, H2O, neutral charge, voila. You've now restored the body's ability to oxygenate cells because now the charge can be accepting oxygen into the cell. And so it's not simple. You have to get rid of all the acidic things in our diets, the meat, the cheese, the cookies, cake, ice cream, pasta, all of these things, the hydrogenated oils, saturated fats. These things are saturated. When they say saturated, what are they saturated with? Hydrogen. Your fats are defined based on saturation with hydrogen. Coconut oil is pure saturated fat. Olive oil is a monosaturated fat, meaning some of its bonds are saturated, some aren't. So it's not so bad for you. Then you have what? You have flax oil, right? Flax oil is polyunsaturated. Your krill oil, you used to sell krill oil. I don't know if you do that anymore. That
Still
was a
do.
polyunsaturated fat, right?
Yep.
And so those fats' ability to restore oxygenation, you can't break down sugar into energy without oxygen. You must restore the cell membrane and the proper fats at the level of the cell membrane, which are loaded today with saturated fats. Today, people are eating, excuse me, people are eating so many saturated fats that the body's naturally using them to maintain cell membranes. And you have to restore the fats at the level of the cell membrane.
Well, it sounds so simple the way that you mostly put it across, but sometimes the listener out there is hearing the O and the H and the this and then that, and let's break it down. Let's just be very, very, very brutally honest right now. If you're looking really for the easiest way to make the largest change right now, I would have to say, and I want to get your input on this, I would have to say, load your body with enzymes, probiotics, and prebiotics. And that needs to come in a form of raw fruits, raw vegetables, and supplementation of a broad spectrum digestive enzymes like we have at Restore Health Plus. Reason I say that is because when we are consuming any food that is cooked or processed, you have killed those enzymes needed to digest that food. So when you eat raw fruits and vegetables, you have all the enzymes needed to digest primarily those carbohydrates and fiber, but there's not a whole lot of protein in fruits and vegetables. If you are choosing to eat anything that is outside of fruit or vegetable and it is cooked or processed, you have to supplement with the enzymes that you chose to cook out that you can get from our company, Restore Health Plus, the sponsor of the RestoreCast. So enzymes, probiotics, and then you talk about the alkalinity. We can do that through, again, fruits and vegetables that provide and help with that oxygenation, or you can also change the largest component of your body, which is the water we consume. So when you look at Kangen water, in that alone, you change from acidic water. Your reverse osmosis is acidic. Your bottled water is acidic. Your filtered water is acidic. Your distilled water is acidic. Change it to an alkaline form, which is full of that hydroxyl molecule. That's what we do at Restore Health Plus. Alkalizing form of water, enzymes, probiotics, gut restore. And then to be able to take all of that and offer it, especially to people like you, Doc, what an amazing blessing and opportunity that is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, the reason why they're called supplements, right, are they're supposed to be supplemented ultimately with proper water and proper diet, right? That's why they're
Yep.
called supplements. But they're absolutely vital, especially in this day and age. Like you said, people are eating so many processed and cooked and denatured foods that they need to facilitate the breakdown of those things. And they can easily do that with, good sources of probiotics and enzymes. And obviously, yeah, Kangen water can play a vital role. But I'll tell you, if you're going to reverse advanced cancer, you're going to need to be consuming 20 pounds of organic fruits and vegetables every single day. That is what it takes to reverse cancer today. There are no. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, let's really talk about, because that's what you do at your clinic down in Mexico.
Yeah.
At your clinic in Mexico, you really are, in many cases, reversing the advanced stages of cancers. And again, I personally know people that have gone down there, have received your treatment down there at your, let me put it up here, they look at on the Gerson Clinic. And so let's talk a little bit about that. When people go to your website and they see, all of the fruits and the vegetables and the chefs that you have and the advanced nutritionists and dietitians and doctors and all of those people, and you never hear anything about, drugs or certainly not Western medicine. let's talk a little bit about your clinic down there, the Gerson Clinic, actually the Advanced Gerson Therapy Clinic, but they can find it at the GersonClinic.com.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I mean, you come to our clinic. A typical day at the clinic is you wake up at 6:30, and you do something that Dr. Gerson made famous, and that is a coffee enema. You know, we cannot reverse advanced disease without the coffee enemas. And if anybody's not familiar with an enema is, it doesn't go in the mouth, it goes in the other end, right? And so our patients are getting 5 coffee enemas every single day. There is not a more potent way to detoxify the human body than a coffee enema. So our patients wake up, and the first thing they do is they do a coffee enema to clear their liver. And then starting at 8, they have breakfast, and then they have their first juice of the day, and then they're getting juices every hour on the hour. 13 fresh pressed juices every hour on the hour. 8-ounce juices of carrot, carrot apple, carrot lemon, 4 green juices that consist of lettuce, chard, green pepper, watercress, red cabbage, Granny Smith apple. They get 4 of those per day. And so all day they're just getting bombarded with nutrition and detoxification. And then again, the very specific supplementation, you know, which we only touched on, using enzymes and your probiotics, right? So that's the food portion of it, and the detox. Then they're getting all these other various therapies. Like I said, the oxygen therapies. They're getting hyperbaric oxygen. They're getting rectal ozone. They're getting hydrogen peroxide. They're getting near infrared treatment. The science coming out now is when you bombard the body with chlorophyll and you hit the body with near infrared treatment, it causes apoptosis or death of cancer cells, almost similar to the effects of chemotherapy. Only this is natural, right? And so these are the various things that we're doing at our clinic on a daily basis. It's people come for 2 to 3 weeks because they have to learn the specifics and the intensity that this protocol demands. And it takes a good 2 to 3 weeks to learn that, to go home and be comfortable with, being able to continue at home. Because you come for 2 to 3 weeks, and then you have to go home and continue the therapy for 24 months. To reverse an advanced terminal disease takes 20. And so you have to come here to the clinic and go back and continue at home.
Well, very well put. Folks, if this is something that you are interested in or need more information on, as you can see right there on the screen, GersonClinic.com, you can learn more about it. You can learn more about Dr. Vickers, Max Gerson, and what goes on down there. We've only got a couple of minutes left here, Doc. Let me ask a very just specific point of question. Can advanced stages of illness, disease, cancer in this case, be reversed?
Yeah, of course. Completely. And that's why 8 movies have chronicled our work. It's no mystery. Dr. Gerson was reversing virtually every single degenerative disease, but most notably, he was reversing advanced terminal cancer. Like I told you, Nobel Peace Prize winner Albert Schweitzer, he's considered the greatest Christian of his generation. Is he going to deceive you? He was considered the greatest Christian of his generation, and he was Dr. Gerson's best friend. He called Gerson the greatest genius in medical history. Why? For this very reason. We are reversing virtually every single degenerative disease. You have type 2 diabetes, you come to our clinic in 6 weeks, you're completely cured. We have you off all your meds probably within 4 weeks, to be perfectly honest with you, but 6 weeks guaranteed. You're scheduled for double, triple, quadruple bypass surgery. We're canceling that surgery in 4 weeks. You have advanced terminal cancer. Well, that's going to take 2 years, and you're going to do that on your own at home, right? After we teach you what to do. But yeah, of course. I mean, we've been doing this. Gerson was doing this 100 years ago. That's when he started. Like 120 years ago is when he ultimately started. And so it's no mystery. He is the most censored doctor in the history of medicine. There have been 5 or 6 times where you would have heard of him in national media news, but it was squelched and crushed in the editing room of your major media outlet. Why? Because your major media outlets, when you're watching TV, what do you see all day long? Drug ad, drug ad, drug ad, drug ad. If you're an editor of any major media outlet, your sole fiscal responsibility is to promote the financial interests of your organization. It has nothing to do with giving you or I the truth. So you're never going to hear about Dr. Gerson on TV, on the radio, in the newspapers, in the magazines. Why? because they're fed by the pharmaceutical and medical industry. Simple as that. And so you haven't heard of Dr. Gerson because he would have obliterated the medical and pharmaceutical industry as you and I know it. Not only that, he would have obliterated a lot of the other garbage that we've dealing with in our world over the last 70, 80, 90 years, because he was talking about all the things that are causing cancer. And so you can imagine the red flag that went up in the United States government Senate chambers when he testified before the United States Senate in July 1st through the 3rd, 1946. And that testimony to this day has been kept from the American public. So it's as simple as that. We're reversing advanced terminal disease. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's indisputable. You can try to argue, but it's useless because the reality is we're reversing cancer and virtually every degenerative disease.
Well, congratulations on that. What a blessing it is to be in a position like we are, to be able to help people through whatever it is that they're going through. And that again really is the basis of the Restore Cast. How do we help people restore their health physically, mentally, financially, whatever the case may be? So with that being said, I think that we can at least sum it all up by saying there are a few things in nature that God has put in every single fruit, vegetable, grain, living food on the face of the earth: enzymes, probiotics, whole food vitamins, amino acid chelated minerals, and water in an alkalizing form. So this was really talking a lot about, the Gerson therapies and the Gerson Clinic and all the things that it can do for people that have illnesses, diseases, in particular cancer, but preventatively, make no mistake about it. I am convinced beyond a shadow of a doubt that if you are wanting to prevent sickness, illness, and disease, you have to incorporate into your daily diet a gut support product, enzymes, probiotics, prebiotics, exactly what we focus on at Restore Health Plus, which is our company here. Preventatively, you have to have those things in your diet every day if you're going to eat anything cooked and or processed whatsoever. I don't care if it's a healthy cooked processed food or a processed. If it's cooked or processed, there are no enzymes in there to address the breakdown and utilization of those, which creates an increase in acidity, which ultimately creates and causes disease, cancer, diabetes, obesity, all of those types of things. So with that said, Doc, parting words for us.
Yeah, just to expound on that, I would add 1 coffee enema a day, just for detoxification, and that may sound weird, but trust me, you start doing coffee enemas, it changes your life. And another thing people need to understand, we're eating too much salt. The Gerson therapy, one of the main principles of the Gerson therapy is absolutely no sodium, other than what's naturally occurring in fruits and vegetables. Sodium destroys the internal metabolism of the cell. It breaks down the mitochondria's ability to convert sugar into energy. And so we have to cut our consumption of salt. People are eating way, way, way too much salt today. So, you summed it up with, the probiotics, the enzymes, and alkaline water. But, people would do really well to add a coffee enema, cut out the salt, maybe juice a quart of juice every day, and you're on your way.
Well, Doc, thank you so much. We're right at pushing up to 40 minutes, which is about where we want to keep our podcasts as we move forward here. It is an absolute honor to have spent some time with you. Allow this information. We both have a large platform for people to learn from. We hope if you're listening to this, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channels. Make sure that you go to the GersonClinic.com and understand and learn more about Dr. Vickers' clinic down in Tijuana, the Advanced Gerson Therapy Clinic. It's unbelievable. It's amazing. Learn more about it. And if you've got someone that needs to hear this information, please take that half a second and forward this message on, forward this video on, direct them to our podcasts. You can find them on YouTube. Subscribe. Make sure they subscribe. Those are the types of things that you can do. So as you can see below there, the GersonClinic.com, learn more about that. You can go to our restorehealthplus.com to learn more about enzymes, probiotics, alkaline water. Restore Health Plus is the sponsor of the RestoreCast. But be sure and let us know. If you have questions, put it in here. Let us answer those questions. Let us be there for you and help you. Dr. Patrick Vickers, thank you so much for taking time, spending with us today. We look forward to doing this again very soon. So I'm sure we're going to get a lot of requests to do it. So thank you so much. And again, much respect for what you're doing and helping thousands of people around the world.
Thanks, Shan. I appreciate it. Thanks for asking me to, share Dr. Gerson's legacy with you.
You bet. Keep carrying that torch.
You bet.
Thank you. See you later. Okay, guys, we're going to close it out there. Again, the RestoreCast, we are here to make sure and provide a platform for people to come and learn how they can restore their health physically, mentally, financially, whatever the case may be. We enjoy what we do. We love and support the support that we get from you all. We hope you have a fantastic day and are able to find what it is that you need to restore that health that you're looking for. Thank you all. God bless. Have a good day.